Hello, Internet. Thank you for joining me. My name's Seven, and today we're going to be talking about the solo Star Wars story trailer. As you can see on the placeholder card for the YouTube video, when you set the bar so low, it can't get any worse. Well, it's not exactly my total opinion on the film, but after the events of The Last Jedi, you know, who knows? I mean, this movie wasn't exactly something that fans were screaming out for, but here it is. So it's interesting because the movie's supposed to have gone through a couple of iterations, I guess, with directors. You had, I think, Chris Miller and Phil Lord, who are sort of a comedic pairing for directors. I know them best for their work in the Lego Movie, which, despite being a kids' movie, was actually really funny, pretty much throughout, and told a pretty good story. I really enjoyed that. So when I heard that they were going to be directing it, initially I was surprised. I thought, oh well, okay, maybe. It's supposed to be fairly irreverent. I mean, Han was never really a big believer in the Force or anything like that until he met Luke, and I mean, even then, it was still that hokey religion for quite some time. So if it was going to be a fun, fast-paced movie, yeah, okay, sure. But so I've read over time, Lawrence Kasdan, who was the script writer, really wanted people to read his script, not improvise or go off in a different direction. Whereas Miller and Lord were much more relaxed, and they're sort of letting people do improv. And you could imagine with Daniel Glover, who's very good at improvisation, where the movie could have gone. You know, it would have probably differed largely from the script. So Miller and Lord were fired mainly because Lawrence Kasdan was interfering so much that it was almost like having a shadow director on the script, or the thought police, so to speak. And yeah, so they were removed, and then Ron Howard came to direct the film. And I mean, he's a fantastic director, but he's very different. I think I know most of his movies are more like dramas. So I wonder if it's going to be jarring between seeing some of the scenes cut with Miller and Lord with him. So anyway, as far as the movie could go, who knows? I mean, we're only going to see 2 minutes of it total as far as today goes. But there's a few things that I did want to go through with you and just sort of see where you guys were thinking as well. So we start off with shiny switches, very, very different from the knockabout Millennium Falcon that we've known for 30-odd years. In some of the Wikipedia entries for the Kessel Run and things like that, it was saying that the Millennium Falcon had a superior nav computer. So basically, it could do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs or whatever it is. So you may be finding that the Millennium Falcon is this really amazing ship initially, then give it 3 or 4 decades and a lot of abuse, and it's gotten to where it is today, where it's still famous, but its heyday was at the beginning, which is probably what we're going to see now. And I would be very, very surprised not to see the Kessel Run and to have that omitted for what is clearly a character story about Han Solo. Also, I imagine Kessel, which is a spice mining planet in the expanded universe, which is no longer canon. I would have thought that would be in it because they use Wookiees as slaves to mine the spice. Han Solo is a smuggler, smuggling spice, runs into Chewie, frees Chewie, they get away. That's got to be in there. You would have to think it's got to be in there. So, yeah, there's a few shots of the Falcon looking clean, pristine, futuristic, new, instead of being beat up, junky, and often not working. Okay, the thing that got me here as well was the differences in the vehicle design. This seems to be very, very boxy, very, very clunky, simple, basic. Like it's an emerging technology rather than something that's been around for a while. I mean, there wasn't really that much difference. Well, I mean, let's say there's maybe 15 years or possibly 20 years between, say, the events of Solo and A New Hope. And when you look at the prequel trilogies, which weren't that much earlier, they had better technology, or things would look more streamlined, or I don't know, it's different. So the really, really simple, basic nature of some of the ships that are seen in this trailer sort of makes you wonder what's going on. So yep, okay. So and we also have okay, so like a beach planet where it's mostly desert, but then there's the ocean. So I guess it's let's call it a beach planet. That looks interesting with some weird geological features. Woody Harrelson, Woody. We'll talk about casting in a little bit, but I mean Woody Harrelson, he's a bit like when he refers to Bill effing Murray in Zombieland. It's pretty much the same with Woody Harrelson. Whenever he turns up, it's Woody Harrelson. It doesn't matter if he's cast as, a bodyguard or a comedic actor or, whatever it happens to be. It's Woody Harrelson, and everybody knows it. It's sort of like he's an entity into himself, and everyone's in on the joke. So, yeah, and the other thing was the guy with the mask. Looks like he's going to be the main protagonist, the big bad. In ways, I'm sort of a bit tired of masks being in Star Wars. Not necessarily it's a bad thing or anything like that as far as a costume goes, but, we've seen this a lot recently, and I thought we'd be moving away from it, like in The Last Jedi, take that ridiculous thing off. It's like, well, is that the way that the future movies are going to go, where there isn't going to be a mask? Clearly not. Anyway, there's been some discussion online that the guys in Ubisi, basically a race of bounty hunters who are particularly xenophobic, and they don't like other people. So that's basically why they're bounty hunters, because they're quite happy hunting down and killing other people or other species that aren't them. Fun fact, Princess Leia dressed up as Boushh the bounty hunter in Return of the Jedi, and Boushh was the same species as this guy. So that's just discussion. That's nothing. Some of the visuals very good, like with the Star Destroyer going through what appears to be some sort of cloud nebula sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, that, and I think one of the redeeming features of The Last Jedi was that the visuals of the Holdo maneuver going straight through the Star Destroyer, the capital class ship, and, the way that was filmed with the contrast and everything, that was really, really cool. And I think visually they're starting to figure out, we can do more. We can do more than just have ships in space doing broadsides at each other. There's more ways to look at this, like at Jakku, where who would have ever expected to see a Star Destroyer crashed on a planet? It just didn't sort of appear. It just didn't seem to be something that was obvious. And then they went and did it, and it looked really cool. So, I mean, my thoughts on the movie, as far as what's been seen, and the fact that it's, a tiny snapshot of the whole movie. Yeah, okay, I guess it's not too bad. Back to casting, Emilia Clarke. Can't say I'm a big fan. I've never really liked her in Game of Thrones. She didn't set the film on fire for the Terminator movie that she was in. Is it that she's been given sucky roles, or she just doesn't seem to have much of a dominating screen presence? People like, Christopher Lee, or, let's just say Christopher Lee, even as stupidly named Count Dooku, he always had something there, or Saruman. I don't know. But then again, he was an older actor. He'd been doing it forever. Emilia Clarke's not, for me, not a great acting not a great casting choice. So you got her, you got Woody Harrelson, you got what's that chick's name? Thunder Newbie. It's not, but hang on, I'll look her up. Thandie Newton. It's always get the names wrong. Thandie Newton. I saw her last in Westworld, where she played one of the bar ladies. Yeah, okay, she was alright, I guess. But she always seems to play this old soul, this jaded, worn sort of person. Will she be doing that this time around? Who knows? If she does, there's typecasting sort of things I could imagine. And then, of course, we come to Donald Glover. That's going to be fantastic. I mean, Donald Glover has got some great comedic chops in Community. The other things he's been in, but most people know him as well from Community. Very funny guy. And, everyone loves Lando. Everyone loves Lando. So I think between Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, everybody loves those guys because, they're scoundrels. They're cool dudes. Lando wears a cape. You've got to have rock solid confidence in yourself to be able to wear a cape. Pimp. Anyway, so that was awesome. But yeah, so hopefully Donald Glover does a really good job. And then Alden Ehrenreich. I don't know. Look, he's probably going to cop flack anyway, regardless of whether he's a fantastic actor and like they could have put Daniel Day-Lewis in there and people would whinge. Admittedly, I feel that he got his big break by going to a bar mitzvah, and Steven Spielberg was there, and they did some sort of comedic routine, and Steven Spielberg's like, "Hey, I like this guy," pats him on the shoulder, "Come and see me," and he got some movie roles from that. That said, Disney apparently cast or went through the casting process for 3,000 people for Han Solo, for the actor for Han Solo, and they settled on Alden. The issue there, though, is that after a couple of weeks of him doing his thing, reportedly Disney got in an acting coach because they weren't really keen on his acting abilities or style. So, did they keep him around and try and polish? Or did they go, look, we've just been through 3,000 people. We're not going to find someone better, or we're not going to find someone as quick. So it's going to be interesting to see him play Han Solo. Who knows? Who really knows how this is going to go? So for me, the visuals, they're okay. Cast, so-so. Have people been screaming out for this movie? Not really. I really hope it does well. I hope it does well. I wouldn't say that the Star Wars brand or anything like that is in trouble, but it's certainly, there's a lot of haters for The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, and Solo is already seeming to be very divisive on the internet. Maybe it's just the internet being the internet. But I've certainly had my fair share of comments directed in my direction saying that I'm wrong. And, everyone's allowed to have their opinion. Unfortunately, on the internet, it seems that you can't have an opinion without upsetting somebody. So to all those people that like to leave cranky comments, I'm glad that you have so much energy to devote defending things. But that's pretty much it. So, yeah, so for me, so-so. They haven't done anything wrong. They haven't, wrong. They haven't made any controversial statements like it's time for the Jedi to end, or things like that. Perhaps they're playing it safe. Who really knows? So, yeah, for me, it's a 50-50. I haven't seen anything that's made me go, oh, wow, this is going to be amazing. I haven't seen anything that's made, this is, you're sending me to the pits of despair as far as, being awful. So I guess, there'll be no doubt another 3 or 4 trailers come out. I'm not going to comment on those. I am definitely going to make a few more uploads before May when Solo's released. And hopefully, guys, you can perhaps suggest this channel to other people, and that we can get the subscribers up. Because if I get over 1,000 subscribers, then I can monetize these videos, and that would make life easier for me slightly. So that's it for me. I will be putting up another upload. What's today? Yeah, probably later this week. About the rate of change in Star Wars. It was something that I've been meaning to do, but over time I've been grabbing different bits and pieces out of different articles, actually maybe doing some research and looking at alternate points. So yeah, it's sort of ballooned out to be a little bit larger than what I expected it to be, and then this has come on. So thanks very much for listening today. This is Seven signing out, and may the Force be with us all.